books.
Did you make this ink, or you bought the ink? How does it work?
This is ink that I bought, actually. Yeah.
Okay. Do you ever make ink?
I do. I forage for it.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Tell me what.
I go foraging on my own sometimes, but I also go foraging with my good friend and neighbor Jumana Medlej, who is a Lebanese calligrapher who does Arabic calligraphy.
What do you
She's an
forage
artist,
for?
and we forage for things like gallnuts.
You find gallnuts here in England?
I have got a pile. Oh, I should have brought some.
Oh, I would love
knew
that,
I'd
yeah.
forgotten something. Yeah, no, I have a pile of. I have loads of different gallnuts. I've actually got some.
Really?
So a bookbinder friend of mine, Yuda Miklaf, you would love him. Oh my God, he tells the best stories.
Okay.
Used to be a monk.
Used to be what?
I used to be a monk. Now he's an Orthodox Jew in Jerusalem with
Oh,
like
wow.
grandchildren. Yeah, and he's a
Okay.
bookbinder. And
Okay.
he made books for like the Pope and the Queen and everything. And yeah, and he tells the best stories because he's had like an amazing life.
You have to email me his contact.
Yeah, I
number.
will do. So
Yeah.
he's and he like I said, he just tells the best stories. And it's very funny because actually last year, yeah, we discovered actually that we're distantly related,
Wow.
which is awesome.
It's a small world.
Because it's like 500 years ago related. It's like
Okay.
that. So
One of those. Okay.
So why was I telling you about him? Oh, right. So I go foraging with Jumana, and we find gallnuts. He gave me like a suitcase full of gallnuts that had been smuggled out of Persia at one point,
What?
into Israel. And he was like, "I've got loads of these. Here, have some." So then I
Wow.
brought them back to Canada. This is a long time ago. I'm sure the statute of limitations has run out. And I don't even know if it was okay for me to do that or not. I just wanted to have gallnuts. But yeah, you can get them here. They're mostly on oak. Sometimes you can find them on sumac, but they're pretty much always on oak. And they're a different variety of gallnut because like
Okay.
the Middle Eastern gallnuts are different like size and texture.
Right. It's on the Atlantic oak, isn't it? In the Middle East, or the Aleppo oak, or something.
I was going to
like
say
this.
Atlantic oak.
No, it's the
I don't know.
Atlantic. So
Atlantic?
So the oak trees in Israel
Yeah.
are very unusual because they come from the Atlantic region, and there was some kind of thing where like they were very common, widespread all over the region, and then there was a climatic change
Okay.
where the climate somehow shifted, and they were trapped there. And so there's this small region, like you'll have the
Really?
these Atlantic oaks that have no business in the Eastern Mediterranean, and they're just left over from some
Yeah.
kind of earlier climate.
Huh.
And
That's very interesting.
Yeah, and they look unusual within the environment. Right?
I'm sure they do.
There aren't other trees like that around there. And
Because if they look like they're North American, I mean, there's different varieties of North
no,
American
they don't
oak
look
as
North
well.
American.
They look
but
English?
They look like something you would find on the western coast of Spain. Or
Oh, okay, like
something
that. Okay.
like that. I don't know exactly, but yeah, no, it's kind of this isolate that got left when there was a shift in climate.
Right. I did not know that. That's really interesting.
And so the oak tree is and they have these gallnuts. It's interesting.
On my Instagram, I show you pictures of like my different like where I bray and then where I actually like
Bray?
compound. Yeah, so braying something is to like crush it into sort of bigger pieces,
Okay.
not to like not to crush it into like powder. Right.
Okay.
So I've got different size. I've actually got one that's like this massive like brass one that has got like Jerusalem written on it in like Amharic. I'm like, why? How did that
Wow.
happen? Weird,
That is weird.
Yeah, so I use the gallnuts, and the other thing I use is we grow grapes at our home,
Okay.
and so when I prune the grapes every year, I keep the grape wood, and then
What's the grapewood?
like no, from the like just the branches
vine?
the vine, like because every year you're supposed to like cut them back.
Okay.
And so I do that and I dry them, and then you sort of put them in, it's like the fire equivalent of a double boiler. You put them in like a small can and a big can, and then you turn them into charcoal. You put them in a fire and you let them turn it, they can't burn, right? You want them to turn them into charcoal, and then that's where you get your soot from.
Really?
Instead of burning olive oil, which is another way
Really?
they yeah, so you get that. So literally vine black, the paint, is from grapevines. And then
Wait.
you would add pigment to that,
So
and
that
that is
big
vine
piece
black.
of charcoal, all of that can be used to make carbon ink?
Well, I mean,
Or is
if
it
you
only-
if you buy it in an art store, then it's usually made from willow. So I don't know
No,
how.
I'm saying what you do.
Oh yeah, what
Like you'll
yeah.
have a big chunk of because one of the things I've
It's
heard.
usually like smaller. It's smaller like sticks of it that I prune back, and then so I have the charcoal
Mm-hmm.
and I can bray that, and then I've got the gallnuts, so I can bray that and make that into a tea and boil it down, and
So what you're
and
making
then I've got
first
gum
of all is a
arabic.
mixed ink, meaning it has carbon and what we didn't hear about iron sulfate. So it's a carbon ink. Are you putting some kind of iron source into it?
Yeah, sometimes. It depends.
Okay,
It depends
so-
on what I use it for. And I don't remember if I said this earlier, but I always give I think I did. I always give my clients the choice. I say, well, I make this ink, blah, 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 and I tell them about it. And I also like buy, and the ink that I tend to like to use is Rav Nahari ink, which is a Yemenite recipe. So,
Do we know what's in it?
well, they're proprietary, but I can make some
Do we know if
guesses
there's
just
carbon
because
in
I
it?
know well, it certainly smells like vinegar. So it's
Okay.
probably like wine vinegar. It's like grape vinegar.